Chic West coming at you on a Friday night. I'm full of Thai food. I've been out here in Nova Scotia. It's kind of our first reopening day. And I'm kind of getting into a new momentum because my husband is back at work and I now have a Zayo with me all day, every day. And I'm trying to work in the midst of all that. But nonetheless, I feel very lucky to have you all and to have this circle and to be in training with all of you. And this week, as you know, it's been a week, but really it feels like it's been really months of us being in this cave or this tunnel or as I mentioned in the podcast, you know, this global dark night of the soul. And it seems like one thing after another, just kind of like relentlessly, you know, getting into our hearts and, you know, unraveling and unveiling a lot of nasty things. When I get into this like really reflective mode, it's not stuck per se because I've done so much painting this week and so much meditation and like literally going down on my yoga practice because like I know when I just feel so unsettled, like that's what I need to just connect with the voices inside and my intuition and my instinct so that, you know, I know that. So the only way to heal the world is to heal myself, you know. I wanted to take this PPP to go over our workbook, the Chic West workbook that I literally like went to Staples and they made me like a nice workbook. And I was up last night and, you know, in all my journaling and all my, you know, I've been asking myself a lot of questions and that's been really great, you know, and that's what Chic West is all about. It's like Chic West. In the word quest, there's literally like question. But I kind of woke up and I was like, oh my God, like soul work is anti-racism work. You know, just in line with everything that's going on in the world right now, you know, and I had never seen it as that. And part of me almost felt bad, like there's a lot of blame coming up, like hello, like why didn't like knock, like who's there, you know. And at the same time I need to exercise compassion, and so I had this big kind of wake up. I was like, oh my God, anti-racism is a muscle. Just, you know, this is something I repeat to you guys all the time, you know, like you need a soul muscle, like you need gratitude is a muscle, grief is a muscle, soul work is grief work, and grief work is anti-racism work. And to just not have the intention about it, but to act, you know, on it. And that too is all in line with Chic West and is really humbling, you know, to be like, wow, I have so much work to do, you know, and to debunk all that, which is really what our work is about. So, you know, even though our heart has been like relentlessly kind of like one thing after another, you know, after another, like I feel grateful that my heart is that open, that I don't bypass anything right now, and I just sit with that. And I wanted to speak of the 7 pillars and in relation to what's happening in the world right now, how to be an anti-racist as we sit here in our white privilege. And I'm not an anti-racist educator. This is not my place. Again, as I sit in my white privilege, and I still debunk some things for myself. But I can see it through the lens of Chic West and what we're already trying to debunk with patriarchy, or what we're already trying to debunk as us in our womanhood, you know? So the first pillar is patience. And that's where the motto slow work is soul work. And I think the first summer that I did She Quest, it really kind of disappointed people that there's not an end to this. Like the end is almost like another beginning and so on. But, when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, I'll always do yoga. Like that keeps me going back for more, personally, in my personality. Because there's always more to learn and there's always more to see and hear, and like soul work, to connect with your soul requires you to connect with your grief. And we still have a lot of, I'm going to share this with you in complete transparency. Like, I've been reading a lot of articles and, really doing homeworks on this. And for somebody who has a background in, trauma-informed and inclusivity, but it's never taught to me, from the anti-racist lens, And a lot of Black women speak about, and if you're a Black woman, listening to this right now, please do reach out. If I get it wrong, please let me know. But they talk about being tired of explaining themselves. Like, isn't it obvious? And I read that a couple of times, maybe even 3 times. And I was like, that's how I feel with grief. I was like, don't people get it now? Like, everybody grieves, or like, everybody's a racist. Like, don't you get it now? And so there's a lot of parallels, I'm finding between grief work and anti-racist work. And maybe they're one and the same. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna, but there's a lot of similarities, with that. And, looking back at your lineage, looking back at like your ancestor lines and all that. I'm actually having somebody in the podcast coming on to talk to us about that. So that will be really, really interesting. So, but yeah, so anti-racist work is a muscle, and it's about, working at it, small daily acts of bravery every day. Forgive. So forgiveness is a big one for me. I think I mentioned it about like 3 or 4 times in the workbook, how big forgiveness is for me. And I've been really, really hard on myself as a white woman this week, to not have speak out sooner, or not have exposed more Black or Indigenous women, on the podcast show, or, but I need to forgive myself. Just like I need to forgive myself and all the other things I might not have done in my 20s or my teenage years, I need to forgive myself. And this speaks a lot about ultimate compassion. We've did a lot of that shadow work in the Durga section, and asking for help, that speaks a lot about that. Like, like I can't know what it's like to be in a Black woman's body until somebody tells me, more about it. And actually, I've been really, really enjoying all these Black women on social media are coming out and telling their stories. And it's like, thank you. I want to hear your story, I want to know what it's like. Okay. Ritual and connection. This is something I drill in you guys like every month. But this week more than ever, I own down on my rituals and my commitments. And I've even put introspective lens on my rituals. And like knowing that I don't own yoga. Like, yoga is from India, and these two came from like teachers. Everything comes from teacher. Like, I don't own anything. And the discipline to like, again, to carve time and do the work. Like for me, that pillar really is about doing the work. and working on yourself first, there's nobody to blame here but us. And so that was really, really in my face this week. All right, art is both in the principles, the modules, and the pillars. This is how important art, aka creative growth, is for my mission, I think. Art makes you feel. When I feel numb, for me, the conduit is clear. I go to my watercolors, I go to my art journal, I go to my canvas, but the connection has been made through years and years and years of repetition. And so, to know what it means to have cathartic moment, that something might not feel great right now, and to sit in that and to stay in that, because eventually that's the next one is emotion/mindfulness. I almost wish those are like two different categories, but for now they'll stay like that. Emotion in that our permission to feel anger a lot. That when I started doing Shikwa's work, I felt, and I still to this day, grief work is anger in disguise. And anger is so shamed in our culture, what would happen if we lost our shit, And so I'm really inspired by all these Black women that are not afraid to show how angry they are. That for me is really inspiring and uplifts me in like a new vision of womanhood, and so much healthier. Oh my God, so much healthier for sure. And then mindfulness goes back to the soul muscle, being anchored in your presence of self and knowing that this is an internal home for yourself to come back to. I can't stress that enough. And the last pillar is dreams. And if you have read Untamed by Glennon Doyle, I just love how there's a backdrop of, just about creativity and about having an imagination, to be a visionary for yourself, to have inner visions for yourself. To be like, what would it look like for you to live in a world where there's equality, where, love reigns, and because without imagination, without dreams, without this ability to hope, really, sometimes I think art, art is the highest kind of hope, but, we have nothing left. So our ability to dream and use our imagination for this new world that we're crafting for ourselves, it's really important. Long ways to go. And I'm okay with admitting that. I'm okay. So I will leave down, this was written in the newsletter, but what I'm doing to educate myself and where I donate, and this long-term plan and vision I have for Shikwa's, and to increase the diversity of, guests on the podcast, and, that too will move the needle forward. There's a great workshop I took with Rachel Ricketts. I really recommend her. And she shared this quote from Khalil Gibran, whom I really love. And it says, "And God said, love your enemy. And I obeyed him. And I loved myself." And I love she shared that at the end, because I think we can get really defeated, by what we didn't do, or what we didn't realize and what we realized. And, the time we live in needs more kindness than you'd ever imagine, and more joy than you ever imagined, more radiance than you ever imagined. And you can harness that through SheQuest, through carving time for your soul rituals and doing what you love over the summer. And a quick note that I hope you enjoy this month. It's all about the earth. It's all about nature. And I can't wait to see what you mate with your symbol as well. So make sure you check